Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. If you are new here, my name is Rhonda. Today I'm going to be making an angel food cake. Angel food cake can sometimes be intimidating, but it's really easy to make. So angel food cake is, I don't know if it is anymore, but it was my favorite cake when I was growing up. I would request this for every birthday and I just liked it plain. I just like to eat it plain and nothing on it, no syrup, no fruit, no nothing. I just like to eat it plain and I still do. It's really good. So I'm going to share with you my recipe and walk you through the steps on how to make angel food cake. It only takes a handful of ingredients. There is powdered sugar and flour mixed in here, mixed together. And I just use a little whisk to mix it together. We're gonna set this aside because we don't need it yet. For this recipe, you're gonna need egg whites. This is 12 egg whites. I think it's roughly about a cup and a half of egg whites. Now I wouldn't recommend using the store-bought kind that are in a carton. I've never used those, so I don't know what those are like, but I would just recommend using a whole egg and then separating the whites out of it and setting it aside. A side note is I let the eggs sit out to get room temperature before making this. It makes it go a little bit faster and I think it just works better. So room temperature is preferred. Alright, you also need some cream of tartar. I have a little bit of cream of tartar and a little bit of salt in here. I have vanilla extract and I have some almond extract and some white granulated sugar. And that's pretty much everything you're going to need to make the cake. If you have a KitchenAid or a stand mixer, it's going to work a lot easier for you. If not, you're just gonna have to beat it for quite a while to get it to the stiff peaks that are needed. Before we start, we need to preheat the oven to 375. First thing we're gonna do is put the eggs in our mixing bowl, or the egg whites I should say. To that we're gonna add the salt and the cream of tartar and the vanilla and almond extract. Alright, now I'm going to use my whisk, which is an attachment. I think it works a lot faster at whisking this to the stiff peaks that it needs to do. Now, so I'm going to turn this on and hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. We're going to get it mixing. Alright, now I'm going to turn up the speed on this to high. We're going to take the granulated sugar and we are going to take 1 tablespoon at a time and slowly mix it in. You can count to about 15 or 20 seconds and then we're going to add another tablespoon. And we're going to do that for the whole cup. You want to make sure that the sugar is dissolved before adding more sugar. Don't stop the mixer at all. Just keep doing it. Don't scrape down the sides. We're just going to keep mixing. We're going to keep beating. Pretty soon you're going to start seeing, well, right now you see that it's foamy. We're looking for it to thicken, turn glossy, and kind of sticky, and it's going to greatly increase in volume. Okay, I'm going to check this for the peak, and we're looking for a stiff peak, and well, I'm definitely at the stiff peak. So anytime you have a stiff peak is when you take it, and if you can see this peak, it's holding its own. There, see how it's kind of holding its own shape? That's called a stiff peak. You can also test just by doing it this way. See that? Okay, so I guess you get that picture. At this point, we need to add the flour and the powdered sugar. We're gonna do that by folding it in a half a cup at a time. So I'm gonna put a half cup in, just a spatula, and kind of fold it in. At this point, you wanna be kind of gentle, but you don't want to overmix it. You just want to incorporate that flour and sugar into the egg whites. Once you don't see much dry anymore, then you add another half cup. So you want to keep doing this until all the flour and sugar is in the egg white mixture. Okay, when you think you have it all mixed in pretty good, you just don't want to overmix it. We're going to put it in a 10-inch tube pan that has not been greased. All right, we're going to go ahead and put it in our 10-inch tube pan. All right, so then I kind of just go around the sides. Just a little bit. You can run a knife in it in case there's any air bubbles, anything like that. Mine's pretty good. I'm just gonna leave it like this. And this is what it should look like when it's ready to go into the oven. Remember, the oven is preheated to 375 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and place it in there. This is going to bake for about 35 minutes. You want to check on it, and you'll know when it's done is when you go to check it. You can press on it and it kind of bounces back. If it does get a crack in it, just make sure that it's dry and it doesn't look all moist in it, and you'll know. So I'll bring you back in about 35 minutes and we'll see what it looks like. So this is what the cake turned out to look like, and you can see that there are a few cracks here. And when you press on it, it springs back, so and the cracks are not moist inside. So now what I'm gonna do is I put it like on my burner. I just set this on here and I let it cool upside down, just like this. And then I let it cool completely, and then I'll show you. Once it's cool, I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like. So the cake is completely cooled. I'm going to show you how to get it out. So what I use is an offset spatula, and I run it around the whole perimeter here. Okay, and then I have to run it in the middle also because you know, the cake is around the center. Being kind of careful. I don't want to scratch my pan, but I also don't want to break the cake. And then we just tip it upside down and should just pop right loose, just like that. That's what the sides will always look like this. So just sit that in some warm water, and then the bottom it doesn't let go of the bottom. Now, my recipe calls for an ungreased pan. I don't know if some people grease it and put a little flour on that. That might help, but I don't. I've just done it this way. So then I just run this. As you can kind of see what I'm doing here. The lighting's kind of bad, but you get the idea. Run this right over the bottom, and it should just pop right out. And that is your angel food cake. And then when you go to serve this, you want to make sure that you saw it, because if you just try to cut it straight down, you're gonna mash it because it's delicate. So saw it and then serve it with your favorite fruit. Top it with some whipped topping or have it with some ice cream. Hope you give this recipe a try. Thank you for watching, And we will see you in the next video. Take care.